Welcome to the Command Report, your number one news report for the Washington Commanders.
Guys are placed on the PUP list. If you can give an update on maybe the expectations for those players in camp, Chase, Logan, Chase, and Tyler.
Well, obviously, those guys will start there, and we'll see where they are in terms of their possible returns. I don't want to get ahead of that. I don't want to make any predictions as far as those things are concerned. But, I think specifically as you go through it, Chase Roulier, has had some really good sessions. He looks like he might be the first one off a pup. Tyler Larson has had some good ones as well. He's a little further away than Chase Roulier. I thought Logan has looked really good as well. You're not quite sure, but he'll be down the line a little bit. And then Chase Young obviously is probably the one that there is most concerned as far as the time is concerned because he had a serious injury. I mean, and he had it late in the year. He's been working hard. His rehab has been going well from what we've seen and what we understand. But you never really know until you get to get your hands back on him. But Chase Young is probably the one that's going to take the most time. I mean, it was serious, obviously, and anytime you're talking about an ACL, it just is down the line. So we'll have to wait and see on that one.
And then now, as year 3 for you, how are you feeling entering camp? Just about what you saw from the spring and your expectations for the season.
Well, it's a little different. I know I had my expectations when we first came out of the regular season from last year, going forward. But now having a quarterback of Carson's stature, Carson's ability, we kind of changed our focus a little bit. So I'm pretty excited to see where we are exactly as a football team now that we'll be in pads. We'll have preseason to gauge some things off of. But I do like where we are. I do like who we are, and I like our potential.
Ron, this is your first normal training camp in your 3 years here. What does it mean to not have the restrictions you've had to deal with the last couple of years? What do you think that will do for the team, and also from a coaching perspective? What do you think will potentially change?
I didn't look at it that way, but now that you bring it up, I'm very excited. I mean, I'm a lot more excited than I have been in the past, just because there is some normal to this. Being able to see the guys, greet the guys, be around the guys, have you guys here, for that matter. I mean, it is. We have warned them about you guys, so don't worry. But it's good. It really is, and I expect us in terms of really being able to engage with our players and develop the type of relationship that you need going forward.
And last year you talked a lot about the need for more maturity and discipline, maybe with certain players or certain units or whatever. How are you kind of sensing this team? And you also talked about it last year going into the season, having had the success you had. What's your view of that with this team right now?
I don't, last year I did talk about maturity, and that was a concern for me going forward. This year I really just think now it's about the experience. We're a younger team. We played a lot of young guys last couple of seasons, and I'm very curious to see where we are and how we have developed as far as our skill sets in terms of the different positions that we have.
Ron, you say you like the potential of this team. You've been saying all along this is such an important year to see the growth, to see the direction of this franchise. Is it fair to say it's playoffs or bust? I mean, is that –
No, it's not. It's fair to say we expect to win, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay. Every team has a different motto, like keep pounding or finish the fight. Do you guys have a specific motto or rallying cry that you're going to be focusing on this year with the team?
Well, I haven't talked to the players about that yet, so I'll wait till I talk to them.
Okay.
You guys have been really careful about not giving a timeline on Chase Young. Is there something in kind of his rehab that caused? Was there any kind of setback, or is this just kind of expected?
The biggest thing is we don't put timelines on those things. It's unfair. You put pressure on people to try and accomplish that and get to where they're supposed to be before they should be, and it could cause something. But as I said, though, with Chase, and for the most part, all those guys, when they're ready, they'll be back on the football field. But I did say, Chase is, the seriousness of his is there. Again, it's an ACL, and it happened later in the year. And so the expectations, because I do know he said, what he had said, he expected to be there, from the beginning, and that's an unfair expectation.
Going back to the experience aspect, is What are some of the things you're looking for in camp to show you that this team is ready to take the next step, that they have that experience in place?
Well, the experience of working together, playing together, practicing together, developing together. There's a lot of things that happen when you're on the field and you watch these things and you see the communications. People talk about it, there's a sixth sense that some guys develop, they have together. They know some things can go unsaid, and that guy will be lined up right next to him, or that guy will be fitting where he's supposed to fit, and you don't have to make calls or communicate, outwardly. That's the type of experience that okay, they're getting it, they're coming together, they're developing. You'll love to see it happen quickly with Carson and the receivers, the tight ends, the backs, that these guys learn each other, get each other, and basically can communicate without really having to communicate.
And then Cornelius Lucas is on the non-football illness list. Any sense there whether that's short-term or anything?
It should be short-term. We're just waiting for him to see the doctor, and we'll go from there.
Looks like new interior O-line. You got 2 injuries with the centers. How big of a concern is that in late July? 2 new veteran guards, though?
Not necessarily, just because of the guys that we have in position. Like Wes Schweitzer's a more than an accomplished football player. He's done a great job for us at guard and center when he's played both positions. So you feel really good about that. The 2 veteran guards are guys that I know a lot about. I've seen them play. We've seen them play, and they're very trustworthy. We like the depth at that position. I mean, what we try to do is we try to have 10 guys that we feel good about, and we do. In fact, we feel like we have 12 guys that we feel really good about as far as that group's concerned. So, and we did that on purpose. Last couple of years we've had really good line play in spite of the amount of the injuries we've had on the offensive line. And again, it's a credit to the coaches. I think what Coach Maskell and Coach Wharton have done with those guys has been really good.
And then with Chase on the shelf for now, whatever it is, how does that impact Montez and maybe expectations? He was coming on strong and then had the personal stuff last year.
He had COVID and he had the personal situation. But I think the biggest thing and the best thing as far as Montez is concerned is, we just expect him to play to his abilities. We don't need more out of him than anything other than for him to do things that he's capable of. We need some other guys on the other side to step up. I think Casey's going to get an opportunity. James Smith will get an opportunity. We got a couple of young guys from last year that show their potential in BK and Shaka, so those guys will have to step up. And we got a veteran in F.A. Obata who's a very reliable guy. So until Chase is ready, we feel those guys have got to step up and produce for us.
With the linebacker group, how comfortable do you feel with that group and with the depth especially? Do you expect to sign anybody else?
Well, we feel very good about the group. We like who they are. We think they fit for what we want to do and how we want to do it. We're going to see what we got the first week before we make any decisions in terms of a veteran guy. We feel we got, again, like I said, a pretty good group that fits what we want to do. And probably the biggest thing is it's not just about the linebacker per se, as much as what we plan to do with the Buffalo position as well this year.
Speaking of that, with some younger guys in the secondary, do you expect that group and how they're used to look quite a bit different from last year?
That'll be something that we're going to expect from that group of guys.
Ron, obviously when you come in the first year, there's not a lot of pressure. You're here for a reason. There's a change in administration. Do you and the coaching staff feel pressure to make that step forward and show the results of all you've been through over the last couple of seasons?
I think the pressure more so than anything else is just winning, is being successful. And if it comes to a number, then so be it. But as far as we're concerned, it's about going out there, playing hard, playing physical, and doing the best you can to win.
In the 3 years you've been here, every summer there's been, the organization has been in the news. Has that become normal? And I guess, how do you kind of think about that or deal with that as it's going on when you're not here, maybe all the time?
If I'm not here, I ain't worried about it. I'll tell you that right now. It's yeah, I mean it's almost to be expected, to be honest with you, and it goes in cycles. It is situation, circumstances, and to use a quote that it is what it is, and I try to make sure for us it's what's interesting versus what's important, and we're back to football, and to me that's the important thing is it's football. I'm here to be judged on that. Okay, and the judgment starts with winning or losing, and that to me is what's important. Does it make what I do harder? Yeah, it really does. Because, and again, all that stuff that's happened, that's important. Okay, it is. But to me, as a football coach, okay, what I have to do is I've got to make this team presentable as a football team on the football field and in the community. Okay, the players and coaches. And we have to have success. We have to go out and play. Why? Because we need the fans behind us. Fans get behind us, give us support, help build this up, get some momentum going, and some good things can happen. I believe that because I know what this area is capable of in terms of when the team's winning and they get behind them. I remember playing against Coach Gibbs' teams and just how impactful it is when that stadium's rocking. So that's what we have to do. That's what's important. Okay, and again, I said that other stuff that's important too, but I don't want to brush it aside. But that constantly, being in the news and people putting in the news makes it hard for what we do. And again, I'm not saying it's not important, okay? Because I know somebody's going to say, "Oh, look, I'm trying to." I am, because I want to get the fan base back, and I don't want people mixing up what happened back then with what we're trying to do as a football team. Okay, appreciate us for being the football team, and the other stuff is over there. That's what I'm hoping.
Other than building a successful football team that wins games, have you, I guess, found any other strategies in terms of trying to push that forward and trying to, I guess, recapture that fan base?
Well, the biggest thing is now that we're back is being able to get into the community. That was a big part of the things that we were involved with when I was in Carolina. Because, the one thing I learned from when I played for Mike Ditka was you got to give back to the community. You just can't always take as players and as a team. You've got to give back. And so trying to get back into the community, being part of the community, that'll be important for us, this next year, these next couple of years, next 3 years, whatever it is. Because, again, that's how you build it. I mean, to me, it's, if you don't give back, then why would they want to come and see you play? So that's the next big thing for us as far as I'm concerned.
Logan's injury came a month after Chase, but you think he's ahead of Chase right now. What's the reason for that separation, that flip-flopping?
Different type of injury. They're different.
Yeah. In terms of Terry McLaurin, getting him back, how does he look to you? I know he hasn't gone on the field yet, and then what does that do for the overall team morale, offensive morale?
Well, I think it looked great. I mean, just from the reaction we got when we did sign Terry, and to some of you guys' point, and appreciate how some of you guys knew that was coming. Thank you. It was good. I mean, he looked good. He was in great spirits. It's exciting. And like you guys, I followed him on Twitter and got to see their posts when they were all out in California. I thought that was cool. I really did. And it just kind of spoke to what that group of guys can do. So I'm excited about it.
You bring up, the tight ends, and with Logan, still on the PUP list. What does that do for like John Bates, some of these other tight ends that are looking to make a name for themselves?
Well, what it does is it's going to give us an opportunity to see what those guys look like as ones and twos now. Because going in this, if Logan was healthy, they'd be twos and threes. Now these guys are going to get an opportunity to step up. They're going to get a lot of reps with the first group, with the second group. So we'll really get a chance to see them compete and see where they are as a young group of players. I mean, this is. Like I said, you look at it, and once you get past Logan, I think John's the one with the next most experience, and that's only one full year. So it's a young group. They're going to get a lot of reps.
And a lot of people make a lot of a deal about the top of the receiver position, and rightly so. But what do you think about the bottom of the receiver position, and how the potential competition that's going to exist there?
I think the positions, guys at positions 5, 6, and 7. it's going to be very competitive. I really do. I mean, it's a good group of guys. They're athletic. They've got a lot of good speed, and they're going to get opportunities to show us what they can do. I said this, during OTAs and minicamp. It's also going to give Coach Turner and the offensive staff an opportunity to expand on the plays. It's going to open up the playbook a little bit more. Carson has a different type arm, and I think it's going to be real interesting as we go through practice to see exactly just how it's going to help us.
Maybe you don't view it this way because you're a coach, but you do have a lot of spots already locked in, the guys that you would kind of circle as automatic starters. What does that do for you as a coach, just kind of knowing that you have a lot of spots already kind of determined?
Well, I think going into it, you're confident about those guys, and there are some spots that we got question marks, obviously, that we got to get those things answered, and a lot of it also is going to be predicated on what we're doing. Offensively, there's going to be, like I said, some things going to be opened up as far as the playbook is concerned. It's going to get a little bit more broad in terms of some of the vertical things we can do, and we'll see how that impacts us, and who's effective at it. I mean, is how much more effective does it make Diami? How much does it help our underneath passing game? What does it mean for Terry having that kind of threat there with Diami and Jahan and Curtis and you go down the list of guys. So those are all the things that we have to get answered. I mean, we'll have to see how that helps us, how it mixes up and makes things open up in terms of what we want to do.
And then by kind of rejecting that playoff or bust mentality or that phrasing, is that something that you don't want the players to accept and that's why you kind of reject it? Or could you just kind of dive into more of your thinking of kind of why you don't prefer that label?
Well, I think the biggest thing, more so than anything else, is why put pressure on us? Why don't we just leave it at winning, and we'll go from there.
Take 3 or 4 more.
Carson Wentz, obviously that's the big move of the offseason for you. What's the biggest thing that you need to see from him during this training camp?
I think more so than anything else, it's just the continued growth that we've seen. Him getting comfortable with what we're doing as far as our offense is concerned, him being comfortable with the players around him. And I think that we're off to a good start. We did a couple things as an organization, the coaching staff, the players did to kind of develop some of those things, do some bonding, not just with him, but with everybody. And we got to do those in the spring, and it was kind of a cool thing. And one of the things that we did, we had a little coaches versus players golf tournament, and just afterwards when we sat down and had some appetizers and just kind of talked, it was kind of cool to see all 16 people together and just how everything seemed to go. And then we did a whole team thing where we had everybody together and coaches and players, and you got to see that. And so that's one of the things that we want to continue and just continue to bond and grow.
When you have a quarterback like that in his ability, what does it do for a franchise going into a season? Does it do you notice a different lift or spark with guys as they report, or maybe different energy?
I think it does. I think there's some optimism, obviously, and I think that's a huge plus is when you can have something that everybody looks at and say, wow, okay, with this is different, and that's kind of how it is when you look at a guy like Carson.
Take 2 more.
Coach, fans are allowed to vote for the new fight song, and I just wonder which version would you vote for, the Fight for Our Commanders or the Leaders on a Mission?
I haven't heard him yet. I haven't.
Between Fight for Our Commanders or Leaders on a Mission, which one would you pick?
I think I'd go with the mission.
Any reason why?
Just I like the sound of it. We're on a mission.
Coach, I sang both earlier on the radio if you want me to get you those files.
Send them to me.
Yeah, we'll do. Just quickly, you've made a point of telling everyone that you guys wanted Carson, went out and got Carson. The night before training camp, considering his last 13 months, you reach out to him tomorrow morning? Is any of that on your radar?
Okay, you lost me. Say it again.
Like, Carson's starting over again.
Right.
You guys wanted him. You're
Yep.
telling everybody. Do you
Yep.
reach out to him tonight, tomorrow morning, like, hey, this is your team. Go out there and take it? Is there any conversation like that? Is that needed at this point?
No, I don't think it's needed, but he and I did talk today. We spent a little bit of time together. It was good. It was good. It was good to see him, and I just wanted to reiterate more so than anything else is he was wanted here. And that was one of the first things I told him when he came into the building. When I shook his hand, when he came through the door, I told him, I said, hey, you were wanted here. And I think that's important because, again, when you do some of the research and look at some of the things, if we get the guy that has that type of ability that he's shown in the past, I think it could help us and make us a solid, formidable team to have to play against.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
We're good? It's a secret.
Thanks for tuning in to the Command Report. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest Washington Commanders news.